think we got a couple more people now. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys. All right, and today the goal is to try to get through the rest of these problems. And we're gonna use a tool today that can help us find out how much you end up paying over the course of the lifetime of a credit card loan, basically. There's a problem that I skipped, number 12, because number 12 has us do it by hand using an Excel sheet. So I don't really like those problems because they just take so much time. So we're gonna skip those, okay? All right, so after number 11, right, that's the one where we looked at that we had this formula, this nice new formula that helped us determine that what would the balance be after a certain number of payments, right, minimum payments. And so we were able to find out that in some cases, if you take a really long time, it can take a really long time if you choose only to make minimum payments. In the example of this girl who it would take her 24 years basically to pay off a $4,500 credit card debt. Okay, so the next few problems focus on how much do you really pay over the course of a lifetime. Okay, so that's what we're going to use here, and we're going to use some tools here. All right. Okay, so Reston paid off one of his credit card balances in full last month and is planning to purchase a new car. Okay, so his credit card balance is 0 now. The card had an APR of 19.8% compounded monthly. His plans are to use that credit card to make a down payment of $5,000 on the new card and not use that card for any future purchases. He plans to pay $200 each month towards the outstanding balance on the card. Use technology tools of your choice to aid and answer the following questions. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use some technology tools. Okay, so let me go ahead and share that information with you guys. It's actually this link right down here, the one that says illuminations.nctm.org activity detail. Okay, if you were to go in and type this into a URL, you would be able to get there. Let me go ahead and type that in for us so that we can look at it together. It's a little chilly today, you know? I got a hoodie out here. I don't know about Maywood, but it's a little cold up here in Pasadena. Okay, please work. Where is the thing? What is this? Did I type this incorrectly? Illuminations.nctm.org activity detail APS. Okay, got it. Oh, this is not good. Where did this thing go? Data analysis. I don't think it's. Let's see, financial. Okay, this is a problem. All right, hold on. Let me just find something else. All right, let's see if any of these work. There's no graph on it though. Dang. Oh, it's a different ID. It's printed differently on the book. Okay, give me a second. ID equals, okay. 3568. Please work this time. Man. All right, that's super frustrating. Okay, give me a second. I think I posted something a while back that has something similar. I don't remember what week it was. I think it was week 4 or maybe week 3. Yeah, here it is. Okay, here it is. All right. Okay, so let's see what we can get here. So let me maybe do a dual screen so we can see this and the problem at the same time. Okay, so he paid off his credit card balance in full last month, planning to purchase a new car, and now they're cutting the grass in the background. Oh my gosh, today is just not going my way. All right, so the card has an APR of 19.8 compounded monthly. All right, so we can adjust this annual interest rate. We can change it, hopefully. Yeah, 19.8. Okay, and this is monthly payments. Okay, he plans to pay 200 each month. Okay, so he's got 200 going towards that each month. And I believe the initial balance in this case is going to be 5,000 because that's what he paid, right? That's what he paid. Okay, so then what we can see here is we have the time span in this case, which tells us like these are the payments that he's going to have to make in. No, sorry. How many months will it take for him to reduce the balance to 0? Okay, I think it might tell us down here actually. Okay, right here, right. So I forgot we have this feature here. So if we slide this around, it can tell us how long it's going to take him to find out what his current balance is going to be. So then if we slide it all the way across, it looks like at about 2 years and 9 months, he's going to reach that zero balance, right? The zero balance here. You can see it in blue. Okay, so basically the blue is tracking what his current balance is. The red is a consistent initial balance throughout the entire time. And then the green, you notice that that's the one that's kind of increasing slightly over time. And that's because that's the cost of the loan over that period of time, right? Because he's paying interest on that for the course of many months, right? You can see there that what initially he paid 5,000 for, by the time he ends up paying it off completely with the zero balance, the current cost, which was how much it cost him to take that loan, was really 6,547. Okay, and so let's go ahead and answer some of these questions on the right side, right? So how many months will it take Reston to reduce the balance to zero? Well, we notice here that it would take him 2 years and 9 months. So the 2 years, that's 24 months. And then the other 9 months, so the 24 plus 9, that's going to get us to 33 months. Okay. All right. Then for part B, okay, what is the total amount of money he will have paid the credit card company? Well, in that case, we can find it just by looking right at the current cost. So we know that that's how much he paid. It would be 6,500 with 47 cents, right? This is total amount paid. And that's represented by the current cost, right? So whatever is in green. So if we were to like backtrack maybe the month before, when he still has a current balance, right, it's not as much. So you can see that at the very beginning, right, everything is 5,000. And as things go over time, right, the current cost is everything just adding up, right? All of that interest that's kind of adding up over time. And until we get to about right here. Okay. All right. Part C is asking us, well, how much interest is paid? Okay, so we can find that out, because if we know how much was paid towards the balance, then everything else was paid in interest, right? So if the total cost was 6,500 with 47 cents, and you subtract the initial balance of 5,000, right? That'll tell us there how much was paid in interest, right? So that would have been 1,500 with 47 cents. That is the interest paid over the lifetime of the loan. Okay. And that's pretty much it, right? So the saving or the simulator gives this kind of information to you without us having to do spreadsheets that take up maybe like 30 different rows trying to find out, kind of like what we did last time. Let me just remind you real quick of what that was and how tedious it was. It was when we were trying to find out how could we determine, right? It was this process, right? We took the balance of 1 month, we applied the minimum payment, we found out how much we owed, then we multiplied it by the interest, we added that back, and then we got a new balance. Right, that very tedious process, we can do a little bit more efficiently with some of the tools that we have now, right? So we can go ahead and use it to answer these types of questions. Okay. So any questions so far in terms of at least reading this graph, right? If you type in the values correctly, then you should be all right. Okay. Okay. And then notice there's also another feature up here, right? So there's a monthly payment of 3% with a minimum payment of 200. So typically 200 would definitely kind of like would definitely be over a 3% value. Okay, let me just see how it changes if we were to click this and change this to 200 instead. right? It's still the same thing, right? Because with the bottom one, basically the bottom one is saying like if you don't, if you, let's say you were making a minimum payment, but then that minimum payment was got too small. Um, I'm not sure how, but if the minimum payment was too small, then it would the credit card company would charge you a 3% of what you owe instead of the minimum payment. But typically that doesn't really happen. So in either case, right, regardless of which one you clicked, because we knew that he was planning on paying $200 a month, then we could use that, right? Either one would have worked. All right. Any questions there? Okay. So, all right, let's take a look at this next one. All right. So here's a bad picture of the of the same thing that we have here on the left. So the Illuminations financial calculator permits analysis of credit card payments. The calculator assumes that interest is compounded monthly, right? That's good because that's what we are assuming as well. It studied the pattern of change in the credit card balance reported above for a recent purchase by Emily of new kitchen appliances. So I know it's kind of hard for you guys to see. Let me go ahead and change the values. And so this lady makes $3,500 worth of credit. Let me see, kitchen appliances with monthly payments to be $126. The annual interest rate that she is paying for her appliances is 17.6. And here's our situation, right? So if we wanted to find out how long it's going to take her to pay everything off, it looks like right exactly at 3 years, right, she's going to be able to pay that off. Okay. All right, so that's basically what this picture shows, right? I'm showing it a little bit better clarity on the left side. Okay, so one of the things that they're asking for is what consumer information is provided by this financial calculator. One of the good things about it is, well, one, it tells you the interest rate, right? So that's one thing that typically you would have to know, something that you would have to ask the credit card company for that information. Typically, they mail you a letter that tells you what your interest rate is. Okay. Part two, explain why the patterns in the graph make sense. Okay, well, we can kind of just discuss this. Your initial balance is always going to stay, is basically staying the same, right? Your initial balance never changes because that was your initial. So that we know that that would have been, that tells us where we started, the 3,500. Okay. The current balance is the blue graph, and you can see that you're going from 3,500 down to about zero. In it, what seems almost like a linear pattern, not quite, not necessarily a true linear function because there's a slight curve in it. But your current balance in blue, typically it starts going down after each month. Right. So if I start sliding this along, you're going to notice that the value that says current balance right here, well, you're going to notice that that's decreasing. Okay. So that tells you how much you owe after each month or so. Okay. So as you slide it along, you have an idea of the progress that you're making. Okay. Pose a question related to Emily's credit card balance. Use the online calculator to help answer the question. Okay, so a good question to pose here is, well, how much interest do you pay over the lifetime of this credit card? And so you can do that by going to the very end. And here, the difference between the initial balance and the current cost, that is what you pay in interest, right? So this woman has a current cost of $4,528.12. That's how much she paid because she had to make payments towards the balance, but then also towards the interest. And so over time, she ended up paying a little over $1,000 um, to that credit card. Okay. So number 14 is just kind of like an analysis of this tool, but we're not really going to really do much with the information, right? There's not really any questions to answer. Okay, it's just stuff to talk about. All right. Okay, so now let's go over to the check the understanding, and I think we're gonna use this tool one more time. All right. Okay, so Alicia has a $2,600 debt on her credit card that has an interest APR or APR of 19% with interest compounded monthly. Okay, that's good because that's what the simulator assumes as well. Her budget allows her to make payments of $125 at each monthly billing cycle, and it makes no new charges. Okay, so she doesn't add anything new to this debt, right? So we can go ahead and use the simulator to answer these questions. Okay? All right, so if it's $2,600, let's go ahead and change this up here. We know that the annual interest rate is going to be 19, so let's go ahead and change this. The monthly payments that she plans on making is 125. Okay, all right, so now here we kind of have the projection of what's going to happen in terms of months, right? It looks like she'll probably be done paying everything off after about 2 years and 2 months, right? Right here in the yellow, you can see that. Okay, so let's see. For answering part A, it's asking what will her credit card balance be after 12 months? Okay, so let's find out after 12 months. Okay. All right, so her credit card balance, well, that's the current balance, right? So not the initial for sure, because the initial is always going to stay constant. So the current balance is 1,501 with 60 cents. Okay, so for part A. Balance after 12 months is 1501 with 60 cents. Okay. How many months will it take Alicia to pay off her credit card debt? Okay, well then we slide along until we see that the current balance has reached 0, and it seems like it's 2 years and 2 months. Okay, so for part B, two years and 2 months. So because 2 years represents 24 months, then really we're looking at 26 months worth of payments to pay off the credit card. Okay. All right. Part C then is asking what was the total amount she paid the credit card company to pay off the $2,600 balance, right? And so that's what we look at, right? Once everything is paid off, now you look at the green value, right? The green line, that's going to tell you what the current cost or what was the total cost of everything, which includes both the paying off the balance and the interest, okay? So for part C, we can say that the current cost or the total cost after those 26 months was 31.78 and 96 cents. Okay. So then for us to be able to find for part D how much interest that she paid, well then it's just the difference between the initial balance, or the difference here between the red and the green. All right, I'm really sorry about the gardeners. Okay, maybe they heard me. All right, so to find that interest paid, we just take the total cost and then we subtract the initial balance. So we would take 31.78 with 96 cents. And we're gonna subtract the $2,600 from that. Okay, so it looks like it was about close to 500, I wanna say. Let's get an exact number here. Let me move this. All right, so 31.78 with 96 minus 2,600. Yeah, so she paid an interest 578 with 96 cents. Okay, so this is the interest paid. Okay. All right. So then this is her paying at a monthly rate of $125, right? So she's making a considerable dent. It's much more than the minimum balance, that's for sure. Because a minimum balance on her initial balance would have been something close to, let's see, if it was, let's say, 3%, 0.03. Yeah, so her minimum balance would have been about $78. Um, so she's paying close to double of that, right? So she's making a good dent, but it's still taking her more than 2 years, and she's going to end up paying over $500 more as a result of the interest charge, right? So then for part E, now it has us look at, well, how would the answers to part A through C, how would those things change if she was able to make monthly payments of $225 instead, right? So raising what she's paying by another $100, and let's just find out what the difference is. So if we now go to 225 for a monthly payment, okay, it looks like she would be done much faster. She would be able to pay everything off. Let's see, this current balance reaches zero at 1 year and 1 month, right? So she kind of cuts this in half. So 1 year and 1 month, let me make some space over here. Okay, in fact, the balance would be dramatically different, right? So part A is asking for what is the balance after those 12 months? Well, after 12 months, her balance is only $191, right? So that extra $100 per month has helped cut this loan period, this credit card period, down by half, pretty much. Okay, so if we make the adjustment, right, so now we have a $225 minimum payment, or not minimum payment, but this is the payment that she's making. Right, then we're going to see a big difference here, that the balance after 12 months is only $191 with 38 cents. Okay, for part B, the time it takes for her to finish paying this off is only 1 year and 1 month. So if a year is 12 months, then we're talking about 13 months. Okay. Part C, the total cost, right? So this is the big one. That's the one that matters the most, is how much do you actually end up paying over the time of the credit card loan. Well, in this case, for her current cost once she paid everything off was $28.94 with 41 cents. All right. So then the interest that she pays as a result of that is much less, right? Because this total cost is not much larger than the initial balance, right? So we could take the 28.94 with 41, and from that we could subtract the 2,600 to find out how much interest she really paid, right? So here, this is 0.41, that's 4, that's 9, here that's 2. Okay, so really, she only ends up paying $294 in interest compared to 578 with 96 cents. All right. So there you can kind of see how to plan things out. So when you get a credit card and you want to think like, okay, I can't make payments that high, but I know I can make more than the minimum. You can kind of project here using a tool like this to really determine how much you want to send, and if you're willing to pay that much in interest, right? Typically, if I were to look at something like that would bug me, right? To know that I paid so much in interest. So I would try to find a way to send even larger payments. So that's kind of what you want to be aware of, is how the credit card companies make money off of you, right? By lending you money, they earn a lot back just by letting you borrow money. Okay. And so that's where the interest rate comes in, right? So typically you want to look for a credit card that has a low interest rate, or it has something that is promotional, like a the first year or the first 18 months, there's no interest. Those are great because you can pay back the balance and you don't pay any interest, right? So you can make low payments over the course of a year or over the course of 18 months. Best Buy is pretty good at stuff like this. You know, if you want to buy like a computer for school, um, you know, maybe you can't get a credit card yet, but maybe your parents can and they can help you, but maybe you're the one making the payments back to that card. That's one way to ensure that you don't pay too much over the lifetime of whatever it is that you're paying for. Okay, so Best Buy for sure. I know that anytime really that you buy something over like, I think over 500 or whatever the amount, if you buy something over a certain amount, they'll give you the promotional APR of 0% for 12 months, or if it's like a big appliance, it's like 18 months. So that's kind of where you want to shop sometimes. I'm not promoting Best Buy at all, but just they've been cool with, you know, with their promotional credit card APRs. Okay. So that's pretty much it in terms of this section. Well, this investigation was all about credit cards, right? So we kind of got the idea after a while. You know, it seemed a little repetitive, um, but I think we finally got to the part where it was like, okay, this is why it's good to know, right?